What's up, guys? It's me here, and today we're going to discuss one of the most fascinating men in history, Zeno of Citium. What was his secret to success? How did he achieve happiness? And, most importantly, what can a modern man learn from him? Let's get into it. In 334 BC, a young man named Zeno left his home in Citium on the Mediterranean island of Cyprus and boarded a ship bound for Athens. But the ship was wrecked, and Zeno found himself stranded in the city with only his wits and whatever few possessions he could salvage from the wreckage. However, instead of despairing at his fate or trying to return home, he decided to stay in Athens and start over. So he began selling his old clothes door to door to make money. He then took that money and opened up a small shop selling drapery. Eventually, this small business grew into a big business, making Zeno wealthy beyond his wildest dreams. And it seemed like everything was going well for him. However, after some time, a fire broke out and destroyed his shop and all his possessions. Instead of getting depressed or falling into despair, though, Zeno simply walked into the rubble and exclaimed, "Here is my new starting point." Then he started again from scratch and rebuilt his life once more. After this second tragedy, Zeno went back to his hometown, Citium, for a bit. But as soon as he got there, his house burned down for a third time. Finally, at this point, Zeno had enough of this misfortune. So he boarded a ship to Athens for a fourth time. This time, however, instead of focusing on his misfortunes and letting them control him, Zeno decided to accept them and make the best of his situation. He decided to live a simple life devoted to philosophy. And so he joined the philosophical school of Crates of Thebes, where he learned to find happiness within himself and not in external circumstances. About 10 years later, he founded his own school of philosophy called Stoicism, which would have a profound impact on Western civilization. So let's take a look at how a modern man can follow Zeno's example and build an empire of his own. Lesson 1. When life gives you lemons, make lemonades. Zeno had every right to be upset about his misfortunes. His house burned down 3 separate times. All his possessions were turned to ash. And who knows how many times he had to start over and sell his clothes on the side of the road just to make ends meet. However, instead of wallowing in self-pity, blaming others, or even giving up, he dusted himself off and started over each and every time. Modern society teaches us to play the victim and to blame others when things don't go our way. But in reality, we are responsible for the cards we've been dealt, and we should do our best to make the best of the situation we are currently in. You never know what opportunities may come your way. For example, when Henry Ford's father died and left him an inheritance of $50,000, equivalent to about $2 million today, he used that money to start his first business. On the other hand, if his father hadn't died, he may have never had the guts to start a business and take the risk. Same goes for you. Don't complain about the cards you've been dealt in life. Instead, make the best of your situation because you never know where it may lead you. Lesson 2. Stop focusing on the past. Zeno was destined to become a Stoic philosopher long before he experienced any of these tragedies. Why? Because his whole perspective on life changed when he stopped focusing on the past. The same is true for you. Your past doesn't define you. In fact, it only defines your past. If you choose to let it define you now, your potential future will be bleak. However, if you focus on the present moment and realize that you have the power to write your own future, you can become unstoppable. And so whenever you find yourself regretting the past, always remember the words of Marcus Aurelius, "You only have power over your mind. And by focusing on the present moment, you can seize the reins of your life once more. Lesson 3. Be resilient. No matter how much of a bad streak you're on, no matter how many times you feel like you've been knocked down in life, you must always dust yourself off and try again. This is what it means to be a Stoic man. You don't complain about your bad luck. You don't blame others for your misfortunes. You don't feel sorry for yourself. Instead, you pick yourself up and try again. This is why Zeno became successful in his drapery business twice. It wasn't because he was lucky or because he knew someone who helped him. It was because he was able to start over after suffering devastating losses. The obstacle was the path, and by embracing the obstacles in his life, he was able to grow from them. And so whenever you encounter obstacles in your life, don't try to avoid them. Embrace them. Make them your path, and they will lead you to greatness. Lesson 4. Money doesn't buy happiness. When Zeno first came to Athens, he started by selling his clothes door to door and then used that money to open up his drapery shop. His business eventually grew and made him rich, but he soon realized that money didn't bring him happiness. That's why he eventually gave up his fortune to devote himself to philosophy. And it's the same for you. Money can help you live a comfortable life, but it's not the key to happiness. In fact, oftentimes people who chase money end up losing sight of what's really important in life. They put all their efforts into accumulating wealth, but fail to appreciate the people around them. So don't fall into the trap of chasing money for happiness. Remember, it's not the answer. Lesson 5. Be content with what you have. After Zeno gave up his fortune, he lived a simple life devoted to philosophy. He didn't need much. He was content with what he had. This is another important lesson for modern men. We tend to always want more. We see someone with a bigger house than us and we envy them. We see someone driving a nicer car than us and we want it. We see someone who has more money than us and we're jealous. But this constant desire for more is what leads to unhappiness. When you learn to be content with what you have, you will be truly happy. So practice gratitude for the blessings you already have in your life and remember that's what Stoic men do. Lesson 6. We can't control everything. The first crucial step to achieving peace of mind is to realize that we can't control everything. Life is full of surprises and there are many things that are completely out of our control. When we try to control everything, we set ourselves up for disappointment. However, when we accept the things we cannot change and focus our energy on the things we can, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and worry. For example, we can't control whether or not it rains tomorrow. We can only control whether or not we bring an umbrella with us. Similarly, we can't control the actions of others. We can only control our own reactions. So, the next time you find yourself stressing over something you can't control, take a deep breath and remind yourself that worrying won't change anything. Instead, focus your energy on the things you can control and let go of the rest. By doing so, you will be one step closer to achieving inner peace. By the way, if you want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love. Until next time.